right? Yeah, that it is. Okay, so welcome all to webinar 5. I'm Manuel Marchante. I'm from Évora, Portugal, and I'm here to be a moderator for the experts and also to do a presentation on one of the resumes of webinars. So I'm 30 years old. Before it, I can introduce myself, obviously, because I didn't do it yet. I'm a non-formal educator, so I work with youngsters and with youth in general to build them confidence, competences, skills, etc. And I work in myself also to try and build more competences to then give it to the youth. And that's also why I'm here. I'm from 100% Aventura, 100% ADN, it's the name of our organization, NGO, youth NGO from Évora. And we work on youth, and this was a proposition that we wanted to work on. It's LARP, so it's a different kind of setting, which got me interested in my team to work on and to provide the youth maybe some more materials, instruments, and tools for them to build competence. So before it, I'm gonna share my screen so you can know what's gonna happen. This is a very short, I hope everyone can see it. Yes, okay. So today I'm just giving you feedback on your homework. Actually, I won't have any because we didn't have any inputs, but I hope you can share it on Facebook later or the next days, because it's very important for us, also maybe for you to have some feedback on your work and how it's going. And we're going to talk about the webinars, and we have the experts here to facilitate us. So the webinar the first one, what's LARP and RP? So what is this about and how to use it? Afterwards, I'm going to present you a little bit of the resume of the non-formal learning, and some appointments about LARP and why should we work non-formal learning in LARP. The third webinar about how to facilitate safety and competences, and the last one about LARPing online. Afterwards, we're going to have a small discussion about whatever you want. And for the last, which I don't have here, we're going to have some inputs on your evaluation forms on the last webinars, where we can give you some inputs about it. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing since I'm not talking about homework. And I'm going to pass to the first expert. I mean, wait, first of all, I don't know if my English is very good. I may be talking too fast or too slow. So please, if you have any doubts, anytime, just raise your hands or something, and we can communicate. And also, I would like to know if you can turn on your microphone first. Everyone, can we make some noise?
Hey,
Hi.
Hey there.
Hi.
You as well.
Okay, I hope you're there. I wanted to do something funny before. So this is like Vojta, which is one of the experts on LARPing. He gave me a small introduction. I'm going to say a small activity. I would like to do it with you because usually see everyone dying here online. And I know you have your online EA, an energizer. But I won't say an energizer itself, but it's like a way of participating. So you can be woke up and we can also see you, which is good for us also to communicate. So this activity is very simple. I hope you can have your camera on. If you don't have your camera on, it won't work. Okay, also your microphone. If you have your camera off, it's okay. It's because you're not participating in this activity. Okay, so don't be worried. We won't call your name. So the thing is, I'm going to carry a holy grail in my hands. Okay, and I'm going to transmit my feeling. It's like if I'm sad, I'm going to talk very sad. If I'm hilarious, I'm going to talk very loud and be like so much noisy. Okay, and I'm going to transmit these feelings through my holy grail to someone, and I'm going to say his name or her name, And you have to hold on to the Holy Grail, transmit your feeling like I did, and then transmit other feeling to other people. Okay? Is it simple? Okay, I hope you understood.
Do we need to like, I'm very hungry and I will pass this to someone?
Yeah, it's something like that, but you can carry your Holy Grail. You don't need to do a Kamehameha like the Dragon Ball. Or you can. It's okay. It's okay. Just participate how you can. So I'm gonna say I'm gonna use your feeling, Vojta. I mean, you did the experiment with me. So I'm gonna grab this Holy Grail and I'm gonna express sadness. So since I'm very sad, I'm really sad. I wanna pass this Holy Grail to Christian. Okay, Christian, I'm sorry. Here is your Holy Grail. Here you go.
Thank you so much. Now I'm really super interested for this kind of webinar we have here and also for the training which is coming up. And I pass this Holy Grail of super interesting emotions to Andrea.
Thank you. Actually, I'm really tired. I can't handle it anymore. I will pass to, I can't see with, okay, to Thorsten. I don't know if he's there. No?
No, you have to look at the cameras.
But I don't have an access because I am in my
in the phone.
Yeah.
Okay, just say Ilias.
Okay, to Ilias.
I'm getting the ball, the energy ball. I have this I can't wait feeling, and I don't know, like I am super energetic, and I'm passing it to Gonzalo.
Okay. I'm gonna pass the Holy Grail to Francisco with a lot of very positive energy.
I collect your Holy Grail and I feel really interested and enthusiastic. And I can wait for Manuel to show us what he got for today. And with this positiveness, I also pass it to Daphne.
I think we're playing the energy ball. I didn't hear the start. But hi, I will pass it to Tanas. Oh, no, camera. Oh, Manuel?
Oh, again with this. Oh, okay. So I'll grab it and pass it on to Vojta. It's the same feeling.
Thank you very much. I'm gladly receiving this Holy Grail. And I will calm myself down a little bit. And I look at the Jan Sobotka. And I'm going to pass in this very much maniacal energy I'm carrying in me. I pass you the Holy Grail, Jan.
Oh my God, I love it. It's so perfect. But wait, I feel it anger. How dare you to give it to me? No, I don't want it. Patricia, take it.
Thank you. I don't know if you listen to me, but I am very lazy today. So I don't want to have any work with this Holy Grail. So I will pass it to, I think I will pass to Gonzalo again.
Okay, is it everyone? I think Gonzalo had it already, yeah? Okay, thank you guys for this moment. Yeah, I hope you got a little bit woken up, okay? So we're gonna start to resume or for some inputs about webinar 1. And our expert can come into scene.
Yeah, I assume this was calling to me, right, Manuela? Yeah. Hello, everybody. As a short reminder, my name is Vojta. I come from the Inspire, which is a Czech organization focused on non-formal education. If you have been part of the previous webinars, then you had already seen me. You know that I am doing a lot of things, mostly with LARP, more than with RPGs. And this is a space for you. When I was delivering the first webinar, we have been busy with explaining what is the LARP, what is RPG. And this is a space for your questions. If you are still unclear about something, if you still would like to know something, if you have any questions, you can raise your hand, you can turn on your mic and ask the question, or you can also write your question into the chat if you don't want to participate vocally. So, to you.
Okay, I think I do have a question. So basically the webinars inspired me to, I've been wanting to plan and start my own solidarity project. And so it was supposed to be about art, but I do love LARP, and basically your webinars inspired me to turn this into an RPG kind of focused project. And so I just wanted to ask you if you have any like input in that. I don't know if you have created a solidarity project, but just advice on someone who has not facilitated anything before, but I'm really eager. I really want to do it. So yeah, if you have any sort of advice for a LARP solidarity project. Thank you.
Solidarity project, and help me here because Erasmus Plus is having a lot of different frameworks. Solidarity project is the one which is happening locally, right? With the 5 people.
Yes, yes, it's the local one, which is like 2 to 12 months.
Yeah, I didn't write personally Solidarity project. I have been part of the training courses on this. I know people around me who implemented similar things. If you are asking what ideas or advices I would have, well, I would start with the team. You need to have 5 people in the team, right? So even though that you personally don't have experiences with RPG or LARP, maybe around you there is somebody who already have the expertise. So that's a question to you. Do you have somebody around you who can support you with this?
Yes, most of the others are very, yeah.
By the way, you can also ask, there is a big Greek community in our Facebook group for the Roll for a Change webinars. You can also ask on the Facebook group if anybody is interested there, because I think there are some people that are also kind of experienced with Erasmus Plus and ESC grants. So maybe you can find something there.
Yes, I mean, I was basically, I was focusing on the Greek LARP community, but most of them don't have an experience with Erasmus projects. Some of them do, but yeah, so I was also thinking about going to ROES and being like, hi, can you help me? So yes, I will do that. Thank you.
Yeah, of course, you can always send an email to ROES and we'll see what we can do.
Yes, thank you.
Welcome.
If I will build upon it a little bit, solidarity projects are amazing platform for implementing RPGs or LARP on the regular basis, because they are working really locally. You need to have a team of people, and inside of the team of people, there is always somebody who is more focused on the management, who is more focused on delivering of the activities, maybe somebody who is keeping the budget. It's pretty much the same as we are having in the Roll for Change, and different partners, different people are having different responsibilities. And you can be doing something really on a weekly basis. I noticed from my own life when I was actually very little, in the age of 12, 13, in my hometown, there was this youth center, and this youth center was organizing playing D&D on weekly basis. And they were actually able to be meeting around 6 youngsters every week and building together a really big campaign, which lasted over 1 year. Yeah. Did we answer the question?
Yes, thank you. And I also would like to add, I mean, that's more of an evaluation thing maybe, but it really helped, like even the first webinar, which was about the target group, like these were things that I needed to answer anyway. So it's like, okay, yes, I will take that advice and that plan, and also think about not just LARPs in general, but also the Solidarity project. And also, you know, that's mostly like an experience, but I've seen that in role playing in Erasmus and just in general, like the activities, sometimes at the end it's like it's the reflection and the sorry, I have ADHD. Okay, so oh my god, no, it's
I think that we are losing your connection. The internet's got stuck.
Yeah, until she comes back, I want to say that Daphne is most probably also taking part in the training course in September, which is lovely that we're going to have you there. And like now I will take the opportunity actually to promote this training course. Daphne is one of the participants of the webinars that saw that we are doing a training course about LARP, RPG, and how to use it in non-formal education. And yeah, so there is this training course that is going to happen very close to Rome from the 5th to the 11th of September. And we're still searching for participants from the participating countries of Greece, Italy, Czech Republic, Germany, Portugal, and North Macedonia. So in case you're interested for this training course, it's going to take in total, including the travel days, 7 days. Everything is funded, food, accommodation, transportation, and you will have the opportunity to do the things that we are talking in theory right now, to actually do them in practice and work all together on a concept, on a LARP concept, on a training concept, on how to put these things in practice and actually create and play and test everything that you want to test on LARP. So if you want more info, you can find it on our Facebook group or on the Facebook pages of the organizations. That was the shameless promotion for the trainings. You can find more, yes, always on the Facebook group. Everything that you want is there. Also, you can also send an email. Thank you.
Maybe you can also throw the link to the chat now so people can check it straight away.
A good idea.
Since I don't see Daphne back, I'm going to build upon what she said. This thing with the target group is extremely important. Basically, our role-playing games look very different when we were 10 years old, when we were 15 years old, when we were 20 years old, and now when we are 30 years old, etc. Our interests change, our style of playing has changed. So also, depending on the age of people who you are going to have inside of your group, you need to adjust to whatever you are doing there. I am having one last thing to close it, but before I'm going to close it, let me ask again if there are some other questions. And since I don't see any other questions, then I will once again connect it to this Solidarity projects. Just like you can be organizing role-playing sessions based on every week, you can be organizing role-playing session with the same group. You can be also organizing LARPs on a regular scale. In Brno, which is the city where I live, there used to be a group which was organizing approximately 1 LARP per 2 weeks. It was open framework, so a part of organizer, anybody who was or wasn't connected to LARP could apply, come to the spot and play. And there is a big database of free to use LARPs, which you can be playing with. So I'm going to share this inside of the chat, and Many of these LARPs are in English. Plenty of them is also in Polish and in other languages. And once again, it's free to use for non-commercial purposes, of course. So if you are not intending to earn money on it, you can take it and you can use it. And for now, I'm going to pass the word back to Manuel.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you, Vojta. If you have any questions about what just happened, you can put it whenever you want. If you came up with some question, it's okay. We're here to discuss about it. So I'm not going to make a presentation, but I'm going to talk a little bit about webinars 2. Was presented about non-formal learning and inputs on LARP. Okay, so first of all, and if you heard the expert on the other day, it was Christian. He made the difference, which is important for us, firstly, to divide formal, informal, and non-formal education. So the formal one, it's exactly as it says. It's we're sitting down in university or in schools or an institution. It has very strict rules. It's facilitated by someone or a group or individually. And usually you have, oh, Daphne is here. Wait. Before coming, Daphne, do you have any questions or do you want to proceed with your intervention? It's okay. Okay, we can't hear you, I think. The microphone is not working.
Hi. Yes, thank you. So yes, I wanted to ask, do we like take off the characters before or after the reflection? And also just say thank you for, because the reflection webinar that we touched upon the subject, I watched it online, and thank you for this, because it was an issue that I had on during 2 projects this summer. And basically we jumped from like role playing and reflection, we jumped to the competencies. And I was like, they asked us how, you know, if we liked it and how we felt. And then we're like, so we are citizens of the world. And I was like, wait, how that happened? So yes, I just realized how important good questions are. So basically I wanted to ask if we, you know, take off the characters before or after the reflection, and if you have like a great reflection question that really helps. And yeah, thank you.
I am thinking this is a little bit connecting us to the webinar number 3, which is okay.
Yes, sorry.
Just let me see if I understand the question properly. You are asking if we what with the characters?
Oh yeah, so I think he used the same expression. This is basically the expression that I know from like the youth exchanges. It's like we like forget, like we're no longer the characters. We like take the characters off.
Yes. Okay, very important for the reflection. So we are having some experience inside of the LARP or inside of the role-playing session. We are embodying different characters. We are acting as someone else. Very often our characters can be assholes, or can be people pleasers, or can be anything. We don't really associate it as a humans. And as we are embodying these characters, it is staying inside of us as individuals. So when we close the session, when we close the game, it is important to step out of this, to shake it off a little bit. Basically, everywhere I have been, I experience at least a small break in between the game and in between the reflection. In a group of my friends, people from my group usually go for a cigarette. When it's a really intensive session, then the break can be even really long. It can be like a 4-hour walk inside of the nature. And only after that, people are getting together, them as individuals, as persons, and they are firstly reflecting about whatever emotions they experience within the game. Then they are reflecting about what actually happened inside of the game. And this is also an opportunity to see how my character behaved and as I as a person would behave in such a situation. So we can already see this distinction. And first step is taking the learning from it. So this is what happened. This is how I see it as a observer. And what can I do in the future if I will be in a similar situation? Or maybe vice versa. Let's say that in reality, I'm very shy, but inside of the game, I'm playing a very extroverted person. And the question is, okay, how did I actually manage to be so extroverting inside of the game? How can I bring this experience with me to the real life? I have such a experience from my life inside of one LARP. I have been playing a poet who was basically walking around seducing everybody. But as a person, I'm very introverted, very shy. And immediately as the LARP went off, I closed myself inside and I was unable to talk with people. And this for me was a very interesting experience to see, okay, how come that inside of the LARP, I have been able to behave in that way. And later on, I have been closed. And how can I shift it if I decide to shift it?
I don't know if I can give an input, small one. I think it was very important. I had like a small game where I had a character and also the youth and the youngsters, and it was very important for us. Obviously, a break after finishing the game, and when we got together in the end, we were in a circle and we presented ourselves physically and louder to say, "I'm no longer Carl the Barbarian. I'm Manuel from Évora, Portugal." Okay, and I think this was a moment very important. So we don't, because we were, I don't want to say joke around, but we were still inside somewhat of the character, and this is very important to get out of character in front of all the others and to express that. Yeah.
Yes, thank you both. That was very helpful, and yeah, thank you.
So Manuel, back to you.
Okay, so Daphne, you okay? You have any more questions? I think Ilias replied to you.
Yes,
but,
yes, thank you.
Okay, you can watch maybe the tape later. If you have any more questions, you can do it. Okay, it's okay. I was going to talk about webinar 2 and about non-formal education. Okay, just a little bit. I don't know if you want to intervene before. Do you? Yes, okay, because we love participant. Okay, please continue. And I just want to say the next round for ECS, do you say it in English? We call it CES in Portugal. It's the 5th of October, right?
Yes, I saw.
So,
thank you.
yeah, you have to prepare it, gather a team,
know.
gather a team. I mean, it takes longer to prepare the objectives and everything. So it's a long text of writing, but I think you can do it if you start right away. Yeah.
Yes, I think so. Thank you.
Thank you. So I was going to start talking about non-formal education, and I was separating the formal from the informal and the non-formal, the part of the formal where we go to schools, universities, and we get a diploma or a certificate in the end, like or a final degree or something. And I don't know if you remember, Christian talked about, I don't know if it was his grandfather, but he talked about fishing. And this is one type of informal learning where we have a lifelong experience every day, or we're having coffee with our friends and we're talking. So this is not prepared. This is not structured. It's not planned. And Christian's grandfather, is probably not certificate fisherman. So it's not a non-formal learning, okay? And this separates from the non-formal learning where we, as an educator or educators, we have to have a structure, it has to be planned, and we have to facilitate courses, workshops, I don't know, seminars, trainings, LARP activities, and it's about the skills and the capabilities, and it involves always a reflection in the end. to perceive the idea of the participants and also the facilitators, what went wrong, what went good. And usually this doesn't happen in schools, right? We don't evaluate the teacher right away. So they are in the different position of strength. And in the non-formal way, we use it a lot, the part of the experience. It's very much validated because it's where we got our skills, and our capabilities. In LARP, I know if I'm talking too fast. If I am, I'll stop. Okay, I'll stop now. I'll slow down. Usually I'm gonna speak about this theme of LARP. Actually, in theory, I haven't applied it yet in full. I've done some role playing, but never some LARP activity in full. But we can develop a very handful of skills and competences, okay, which have to be defined priorly to the activity, or else the objective of the game will be very different than we wanted to acknowledge. So to build this game, we have to have some objectives, and what do we expect from the participants to learn? If they learn other things, it's okay, but we have to have a main objective for it so we can prepare the game itself. If it's about, I don't know, body language, or facial expressions, or contact with others, or the introvert, extrovert that Vojta was talking about physical skills, or about competences for, I don't know, building clothes or working on characters. It's very important that we define it in the principle so we can control expectations. Okay, this is also one of the main things in non-formal education, is that we have to work on expectations, or else the characters or the players or the people who are going to play are not going to be happy in the end, because they had or no expectation or higher expectations, or they expected something else. So when we present the game, or when we present the activity in the non-formal learning, we have to define and define exactly what are the expectations that they are going to find in the activity itself. So there are a lot of examples for LARP. We can work on, I don't know, Halloween, fairy tales, on something that we all know, or some of us don't know, like Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, I don't know, like wizards. And it's very important to define the role which we are going to play, and experience. So this is the second part of non-formal. So after the expectation, it's the experience itself. We have to have the part of the experience. I mean, when we are in the formal learning, the teacher tells us something, and we are just imagining what he's saying, and we are writing, or I don't know. But when we are in non-formal education, we have to pass through this experience, like working in groups or do the expression itself, so we can reflect in the end about what we have done. And this is the last part of and I think personally the most important part is the reflection, where I can say, I didn't like this, I like this, I learned this. I have to say, because this has been a work in progress from the European Union about the certification of the competence that we gain. So after the activity itself, usually the participants have a reflection on their competences, and there is a transmission of certificate, which we will also have, I think, in the use pass in the training. Which you can use it or not in your country. Actually, most of the governments, I don't know if they are accepting. Also, some entities or enterprises don't really appreciate it that much. Some of the new ones really like it because they transmit competences that usually people don't have. I mean, you can come out of university with a high note, but you you can be a very bad worker, right? If you have no relationships or competences, skills with the others, it can be very difficult. And so this non-formal learning will help you to experience some of these emotions and work on your competences. So the part of the reflection is really, really interesting. The part where you open up, you talk about what happened, you talk about what you learn, and the others also express their emotions, their learnings, and you can aggregate or catch them to be yours, okay? Because this is very important to talk about. So I'm not going to explore a lot about non-formal education. It's not actually the point of this, of all of this webinar. And I'm going to pass, I think, to Francesco, is it? Yes, to webinar 3. What are you talking about?
Actually, I'm the fourth one, but...
okay.
Manuel,
So
before we're going to go there, shall we also give words to Christian?
Yeah, Christian, do you want to say something?
No, not for that long. It was a pretty good resume. Yeah. For interested people, I can put the presentation of the webinar 2 again in the chat if you missed this and want to have it. If that's enough.
Okay.
I can say some more, but I think, yeah, webinar 3.
Okay. Is your grandfather a fisherman?
No, he wasn't actually. That was just an example.
Okay, it was a nice.
And we also talked about this example from webinar 1 because Reuter mentioned, I think, that role-playing games some kind of niche, but I used this picture of more a bottleneck because it opens a lot of range of activities which you can do, and it also works vice versa. So if you're a role-playing gamer, you have to add some things on the fun topic to get an educational goal for the group. Or if you're a social worker, you can add with the methods a lot of different things. And I pointed out some examples, but you find them in the presentation I put in the chat.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Christian. If you have any questions about this topic, just ask, okay? Daphne, do you want to participate? I don't want to force you.
Sure. I have never been fishing. I have never gone to fish, but it would be great to have a LARP with fishing. Yes, that was my input. Thank you. See, that's what happens when somebody puts me in the spotlight. I am silly.
It was great. It was great.
Yeah.
It was great. Thank you so much, Daphne, to put the energy to this group. So we can move on to webinar 3. Vita, is it you? Is it Francesco?
Webinar 3 was me, together with Simone. Simone couldn't join us today, so I will be covering it for now. Webinar 3 was about the topic how to implement tabletop RPG, how to implement LARP, and also what competencies might come handy. So let's practice a little bit of the involvement of the group. There is this possibility to raise a hand inside of the reaction. So I will ask a very quick question now. How many of you have ever experienced tabletop RPG? Raise the hand if you did. Okay, there is some clapping, some raised hands. Good. So it seems like approximately half of the group. How many of you have ever been a game master inside of a tabletop RPG? Game master is this person who is leading the story, who is facilitating the game for other people. Again, raise a hand. Okay, a little bit less. And finally, how many of you have ever experienced LARP? How many of you have ever participated in a LARP? Daphne, you actually have been in LARP, okay. Good. So yeah, this webinar number 3 at a really huge range of things inside of itself. I wonder if you are having any specific questions towards this webinar at the moment. Once again, you can turn on your mic or you can just write a question to the chat. Then if we have no questions, then let me rephrase it. What are you still missing in order to be ready to implement tabletop RPG or a LARP? What are you still missing in order to implement it? Practice. Yes, Patricia is writing that she is missing practice. Most probably this is true, that everything that is needed is the first step, is to give it a shot and see what it's going to bring. We have been giving you assignments inside of these webinars. Mostly it was about identifying your target group, studying a specific LARP or role-playing activity, and then actually implementing it offline or online. If you didn't give it a shot yet, there is a big invitation from my side. Either you feel ready or not, just for your own fun, do the first step and try it, just like an evening activity with your friends, because this first experience is extremely important. In case that you don't feel like implementing it for the others, you can also enter the role of the participants. There is a lot of communities connected to tabletop RPGs and also to LARP. If you will Google a little bit or maybe use Facebook, I'm pretty sure you will find something very soon which will open you a door inside of this experience. And after experiencing it for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, I'm pretty sure that you will start to have this urge to actually offer something similar to the people around you. This is actually connecting us to the topic of how to do these things online. So I'm going to pass the word to Manuel, who will pass it to Francesco.
Do I have to? So Francesco.
So hello, everybody. I'm Francesco. I led the webinar number 4 that was about hosting and leading a role-playing game experience online. And together with Barbara, a colleague of ours, we spoke a lot about all various different platforms that are available, both free and premium platform, paid one. That are kind of tools for us to use in order to host digital role-playing game experience. We also talked about the importance of music for the atmosphere, the pictures, all the different kind of layers that are needed to host the games, the layer of the token, the layer of the map, the GM layer, the hidden one, and all the different aspects, a bit more specific, a bit more technical. But to stay general, it's yes, it was about the digital way to use it. So if some of you, I don't know if some of you already joined it, have any question, or maybe some external people who wants to know more, I'm free at disposal. If nobody raised a question, I would gladly ask you a question. I'd like to know if anybody of you have ever joined a digital role-playing game session, both as a DM and as a player. So if you want, you can raise your hand just to... Okay, so more than a few. Okay, and do you think your experience was was nice. Did you have fun in that kind of experience? It was a good, positive memory about it. The raising hand is yes. Okay. Okay, thank you. And last question: did you use Roll20 in order to play? Also, this one raising the hand is yes. Okay, I'm asking you this because Roll20 is probably one of the most popular platform online, very used, pretty much user friendly. So yes, thank you for your answers. And if there is no other question, I would give
we have a question in the chat. Is okay. What digital tools can you suggest? So you talked about one, I think. Yeah.
Surely Roll20 is one of the most used and common. There are two ways to use it, both free version, but also there is a professional version, like a pro version, premium one, that unlocks tons of cool feature. But actually, you can just use the free one. It's okay. For the gaming side, but I suggest you to cover with another software the video chat calling, because it's it's a bit more performative. So I would suggest you to use Zoom or Google Meet or Skype or whatever you want to use. Even Discord is very well used for the video chat. And you can use both the gaming side and the video chat side in order to play a pretty smooth play.
So can you upload the link of the platform you're talking about? The Roll20, was it?
Yes, I can do it.
Can you put it in the chat? Maybe people can see it easily.
This is for the game, even though it supports video chat calling, but as I told you, it can be a bit unpredictable sometimes to rely on that for Roll20. So I would suggest to use Discord for the video audio chat.
Thank you, Francesco. We have another question or appointment. There's also a bot
for Discord server to do those roles. Yes, Rui, that's true. It's one of the reasons why Discord is very well used all across the platforms online and in digital, and it's very well loved by the players. In particular, during the pandemic, a lot of people went toward that direction, the Roll20 and the Discord thing. So their server has been, they have seen a rapid growth. So yes, now it's pretty reliable, and that's pretty much cool.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Should we continue? So we have here, I'm going to share my screen, I hope. So we had here some inputs on the evaluation forms throughout this webinars. Who of the experts wants to comment the first one? So I would like to know more about the educational part of the RPGs, maybe how to have online games in an educational context, and how and why to do it, as well as some examples.
Okay, I don't know if some of my colleague wants to talk. I would say something really short. Practical ways to use RPG in LARP on education. Firstly, it can be really a good thing to know what you're doing. I mean, both as a educator and as a game master, as a facilitator, can really speed up some of the critical points during a role-playing game session. So in order to do that, I would gladly suggest you to do a bit of experience first. And that's really something easy that you can reach thanks to your smartphone. There are tons of people out there who wants to host or join games session. So that would definitely help. And to be careful about safety. In particular, during the using of role-playing game in education, maybe you could approach some people can be vulnerable in some way or fragile in some way, and the safety is the very fundamentals about using this tool, because while you hold and host a game, you would probably let the people encounter some aspect of themselves. So it's really important for you to take care of them in every way. So emotional safety, psychology aspects, but also physical safety if you use a LARP, so a physical role-playing game. So these two things I would recommend it to you.
Okay, thank you, Francesco. You can keep going. You have there some appointment about tips about making a safe space. I think you already approached.
Oh yeah, safety. We were talking about it. Tips about making a safe space. Well, the most important one is the communication. During the session 0, the first meeting, before even start playing, it's the occasion normally that it's dedicated to decide what kind of chronicle we want to run, but also to decide what kind of characters to create and to portray. So during that meeting, before the chronicle, before the campaign, it's also important to give the space about safety. Like, is there something that as a game master, as a facilitator, am I supposed to know? Maybe something that some triggers, some emotional triggers, all the different things that are really important to know before the chronicle, before the campaign. So yes, the most important tip is communication, and in particular at the beginning, prior the campaign, but also during the campaign, like a feedback after the first session, the first 2 sessions, like asking, oh, how's it going? How do you feel? To participate in the emotivity of the players. It's also a good way to keep the bridge. And that should be maintained throughout the campaign, I think. And also how to apply them in your everyday life. Well, as I told at the beginning, role-playing games can push you out of the comfort zone. And it can be challenging sometimes, but also there can be growth after those experiences. And if some of you has ever experienced what I'm talking about, he knows for sure, because if you push you out of the comfort zone, you would probably change in some way. You can know some different aspect of your character, of your behaving, or something that maybe is deep inside of you. So how to apply them in your daily life? You will probably know some notion, but also something that build your character, some passive changes. So you can use both actively, some notions, something you can learn during the campaign, but also passively, because you will be probably a more mature person, a bit more self-confident sometimes. It was, for me, it was something like that. I think that role-playing games changed me in better, in my opinion. And so I think that pushing out of the comfort, staying out of the comfort zone can really build up your being. So you will apply in everyday life, even without knowing, probably. Now, I don't know if Boita or some of us want to add some things, or if some of you ask some question, of course.
I'm having a lot of thoughts, but let's first check if somebody has some questions to ask.
I'm reading, can RPG-related workshops be developed? Of course. The role-playing game, the idea behind this whole project is to use it as a tool. So, of course, there can be space for workshop, laboratories, chronicles, activities, and a whole bunch of stuff can be portrayed in such a way.
Where do you read it? I don't see this question in the chat.
I was looking for it also.
Oh,
it's
maybe.
Okay. It's
okay.
okay.
No, it's a direct message.
Yeah, you made it.
So it's not a public. So somebody wrote me.
Well, if any of you is going to have questions, you can raise a hand, throw it to the chat, and just straightly interrupt me. Otherwise, I'm going to bring on the table some thoughts I had about those questions. Well, why to use RPG? Why to use LARP? There can be many reasons. Firstly, as Francesco already mentioned, we work with it as with the tool. It's not our primary goal to have the RPG session. It's not our primary goal to have a LARP session. We only see it as a way of educating people for other things. But there is a lot of power hidden in it. One of the power I see is the power of community. Basically, how I got into this, because I had some friends who were doing it. I experienced it. I started to bring more people into it, and those people started to bring other people into it. And suddenly there were groups who just enjoyed playing RPGs around and who kept doing it for years and years, and they started to evolve through it. And it wasn't meant to be an educational tool for them, but slowly it had become an educational tool. If I will be talking about the group of my cousin, which is playing for decades by now, and they tried many different systems, mostly Czech systems, which are not known internationally. Well, they were playing for fun. They also experienced a lot of argues inside of the game, exactly because they have not been distinguishing between who is the role and who is the person. As a players, they were doing some nasty things to each other, and then they were angry at each other as humans. But then they learned that they need to distinguish it, that somebody is behaving in one way as a character and in another way as a human. So they realized, okay, after every session, let's have a feedback round. And after every session, they talk about what they liked, what they didn't like, how it can be better next time. And very naturally, they brought this personal educational context into it. And after every session, they started to go to the pub, and in the pub while drinking beer, they were still talking about the experience they just had. And they also started to push each other, saying, hey, when you are role-playing, you are constantly doing this. I'm challenging you to do something different next time. And through this very friendly teasing each other, they started to build each other up. What is very important for the safety within the session, especially for these like long run sessions, it is stating one's boundaries and getting to know each other. So, for example, I know that with one player, I never go into the certain topic because this is a personal trigger of the player. I also know that another player can get very passionate, and when the player gets passionate, he needs to scream for a while, and after he screams, he calms down. And it's not because he wants to be aggressive towards the others, that's just his way of handling the emotions. And because all the players already know his behavior, they are okay with it. They are just giving him space to do it. So keeping the place safe is about co-creation. It starts with an intention that we are doing it for mutual benefits, either if it's to have fun or if it is to learn something each other, but mostly it's to support each other, to give a space for self-expression. And within this, all the individuals are having their special things which are popping up. And part of the safe space is to allow that this is actually being shown. If people feel that they can express themselves, they start to go over their natural boundaries. They start to put away the masks and they start to be more themselves because they feel that they can. And this acceptance of what is coming is very precious. Of course, within the limits. I believe that we don't want to allow that people are attacking each other physically. We can make agreements that swear words doesn't belong to the session. Again, depending on the group. I can imagine a group where swear words would be very dangerous. And for different groups, swear words are just a very safe way of teasing each other because the group is used to it. It is a little bit tricky to say that there are some super general rules for creating safe space because it's coming with the people. Everybody is different, everybody has different needs. And I believe that it's important with recognizing who is the person on the spot, what are the person needs, and what are the common agreements we can have inside of this group. Ooh, I started to rant a little bit. Francesco, do you have something to add? Or maybe somebody has questions?
I think I wanted to add something, which is very, I don't know, superficial maybe, but I feel it's very important when you're about to go to a LARP experience, also for the game master or who's organizing it. It's like the basic needs. I mean, when we might be a character, but we have basic needs. We need to feel that we can go to the bathroom. I think we need to feel during the LARP, if it's a big extension game, I want to eat, right? I want to have access to comfortable things, comfortable food. I mean, it's part also of the expectations before when you prepare the participants. I think making a safe space is also about questioning before the participants, what do you eat? How do you feel more comfortable? Because if we are in a LARP experience through 3 days, I don't know if I want to sleep in the woods or if I want to sleep somewhere. So I think that's the basic needs of the person itself, not within the character. I think it's very important. I don't know if you have discussed this. I hope you did. I think you did. But yeah, I think it's one of the tips I would say, because mostly I work with youngsters and they have different emotions along 5-10 minutes. So I think it's very good to control this kind of emotions by giving them sometimes exactly what they want.
Yeah, within the LARPs, especially the big LARPs, which are taking 1 day or 2 or 3 days, from what I experienced, there is mostly defined safe zone where people are coming when they don't want to play, and they need to step out of their role, where they need to do something for themselves or whatever. So there is pre-designed place where people can chill out, be off, and other players know that they are not to disturb them. They need to wait for those people to come back to the common area so they can continue interacting with them. This, of course, is working only with the big labs when we have, I don't know, 15 plus players or maybe 20 plus players. If we are having a very chamber LARP, which can be around 6 players, and one of those people steps for a long time away, then it can really be hindering the game. Manuel, I pass it back to you.
Yes. So, is there any inputs or questions that we want to discuss? Someone wants to say something? Or any of the experts want to add something that it might be missing, or maybe we should repeat again from the other webinars that might be important?
Actually, yes, just a quick thing is a really short reminder to consider the role-playing game world as a tool to use toward your aims, toward your purposes. So it's fun, of course. You can use it for just for entertainment, just for itself. But if you are an educator, you would probably use it toward, I don't know, for theater, dances, even singing things, or music, or historical reenactments. And, you know, there are a lot of things that can be done. Yes, it's clay in your hand, and you can use it to your directions. So just this.
I just remembered another example I wanted to bring to the table. This is actually a story from the friend of mine. We used to study together at high school. He was all the time very much into the history. We play RPG together. He also experienced 1 or 2 LARPs. And he is a teacher now. He is a history teacher in the high school. Recently, he was sharing with me an event he did for his classmates. Basically, he divided people, his pupils, into the small groups, and each group represented a farm. And inside of the farm, they're supposed to do some planning based on the income, yearly income the farm is having, what type of machinery they need to buy, how they are going to develop everything and grow. And the pupils spent around 1 hour or more really preparing a plan, getting ready to present it in front of the group. And as the first group approached to the stage, starting to present what they planned, suddenly somehow burst the door open in the uniform of communistic officer. And he started to shout that the farm is being taken over by a state and that the collectivization is happening. And basically, this is something what really happened in Czechoslovakia in 1948, when the communists took over the governing of the country. Collectivization happened and all the private businessmen lost whatever they had. He used this little game activity, it's basically a LARP activity, for people to feel what it was approximately like to live in that time. So this is just a small example how LARP and role-playing can be used for educational purposes.
Thank you. I just, well, I wanted to say something because last week we had a youth encounter. Christine here and also Gonzalo, they will not let me lie, I hope. I think it might be also a tip for implementing LARPing or role-playing experiences, is that this also goes to the expectations of the participants. I mean, they were probably not expecting to get so immersed in a character. So it's very important not to just present a LARP or a role-playing activity inside a big use exchange. I don't know, maybe we should prepare. They were youngsters, they were part of the very not that young, but they were like between 16 and 20, 22, 23. So there are very different of ages. It might be difficult for them, for the 23-year-old to understand the 16-year-old inside the game, or the lack of participation of someone, or you're not so immersed as I am. So this might affect maybe the playing itself or the reflection. And so to implement this kind of games in a youth exchange or in a big exchange where we have other activities that are prioritized, maybe we should prepare them for this, or maybe do some superficial activity of role playing and only afterwards work on the LARP more deep. I don't know, this was a great experience that we had. I think it was a big game. It was one day. In the youth, some of them were really immersive. Also in lunch break, some of them still went into character, which is very funny. But it's difficult for the youth, and I think we should level up and talk about it before, for everyone to understand that we are not at the same level of participation. And it might be weird for a barbarian not to talk loud, or not to participate so much, or not to use the X as he should, because he's an introverted person, or he's a youngster that never entered this kind of emotions. And so we have to prepare the game, the players and the youth or the participants for this kind of experience. I don't know if Christian or Gonzalo want to say something about it, but I think it's a reflection I would like to make this after the youth exchange to share it here.
There is a question from Luigi.
Where?
Ah, sorry, it was a direct message, so you cannot see it. So I will read it out loud. When preparing a RPG or LARP, what should be taken into account? How many people work for the preparation? Does it depend on the participants? Somebody wants to answer?
Can you please repeat it, Boita?
Yes, I will also put it inside of the group chat, so it's easy to see. Okay, you should see it.
So, while working on a LARP, of course, it all depends around two factors: the number of people and location. Normally, when somebody creates a LARP, it doesn't create it by itself, just in theory. He created just building up what he already has. At the very least, the location, because the location dictates what kind of LARP you're gonna play in, how many participants you can host, and what are all the characteristics that can you use in order to let the people have fun. So while you prepare a LARP, I suggest you to start with the location. And from that, you build up a project of how many participants are needed. And from those two information, you can build the rest. So all the narrative aspects, all the people that are helping you, the PNC, that will help you work inside the LARP itself, and of course, but if you create something small, you can use just a chamber LARP, for example. There are a lot of LARP that can take place in a single chamber, room. If you have a house, you can host, I don't know, 10, 20, 30, 40 people. But if you are planning to host something bigger, you're gonna prepare a ton of work. For example, Conquest and Dragonfest are one of the two most famous role-playing gaming worlds that gather thousands of people. And I remember that in Conquest, for example, for 12,000 people, 4,000 are just the NPC. 4,000 people, just the NPC. I repeat it. So it really depends on what kind of LARP you're gonna host.
Yeah, when it comes to RPG session, if you are playing a campaign with somebody for a long time, mostly one person who is preparing it for the group of other is enough. And the group altogether will have approximately 7 people max. Having bigger group can be really challenging. When it comes to LARP, theoretically, one person is able to create a chamber LARP for the others. Practically, I would always recommend to have a team, to have 2 people who are co-creating it, somebody who is checking it upon you, another person who is supporting you with all the logistics. I don't think I have ever met a person who would be able to create single-handedly a LARP. My personal experience from creation of the LARP is that I managed to put together LARP for 40 people, where I wasn't that much of a depending on the space. I just knew it needs to be happening in outdoor, or it needs to be happening in the place which have several rooms accessible. But I also at certain point ran out of the inspiration, creativity, etc. And I needed to bring another person in to support me with finalizing the ideas. And then only when we play tested, we saw what the mistakes the LARP is actually having and how it needs to be adjusted. What has to be taken in account? First of all, logistical aspects. And by logistical aspects, I mean everything connected to physical materials like costumes, space, safety of players, like do we need to have weapons or not? All these physical material things need to be taken in consideration. And then, of course, the players themselves need to be taken in consideration. Either if you have in mind specific people who are playing it, or if you don't have in mind specific people, then who are your ideal players for whom you are creating the experience? And if it is this second case, you should also identify possible triggers. What can be potentially psychologically threatening to players, etc. And of course, in a moment you start to dive deep into the preparation. Risk analysis is always useful, but risk analysis is a case specific. So yeah, it depends.
Yeah, and I think just one more point besides the design and the ruling, like a master of the adventure, or even some observers to make sure that the group feels safe. So what Manuel pointed out, it could be also useful if you're very unexperienced, a part of the group is very unexperienced, could be helpful that they get an extra reflection before or a special introduction. So the game master and designer can really concentrate on setting the scene for the adventure or the game or even the scene, yes. And someone else is just talking to the unexperienced, what does it mean to play actually a role? How can he behave? What is some kind of allowed and whatnot? So this for very unexperienced youngsters, or even to promote them in a special way if you know the group and they're really shy.
And when we were running this like 10 days project LARP experience as a youth exchange, there was always this like slide in phase when people are getting ready for role play. And there was this stepping out phase where people spent a lot of time of leaving it behind, reflecting, and after long reflection, building upon whatever they experienced. Yeah, bigger group, longer time. Also, this slide in needs to be longer and stepping out needs to be bigger.
Okay, thank you, Francesco, Vojta, Christian. Does anyone want to add something? Questions from this last appointments? I think we have the last 5 minutes, and I'll give the floor, I think, to Ilias. He wants to say something, right? Ilias, you ready?
If you don't have to add anything else content-wise, I just have to say that, again, I'm going to repeat myself. We have the Facebook group that we're using as a community of these webinars and as a LARP community all around Europe. There you can put your questions, your answers, you can create stuff all together, you can gather locally, nationally or internationally to do stuff. Again, I am saying that we have this training course in Close to Rome in September. You can find more information on the Facebook group, but I also put it in the chat in the beginning of this webinar. Other than that, tomorrow morning you will receive an email about the evaluation of this webinar. It's very, very helpful for us to get to know what to do better next time, because there's going to be a next time. There's always something happening in the future. But I don't know. I think that's it from my side. I don't have much to say. Am I forgetting anything?
There's
a question.
Yeah. Okay, so Rui, he's Portuguese and I was telling the name in English. Awesome. So Rui is asking if for newcomers to LARP, what should they expect from this experience?
Expect everything. Yeah, I mean, expect to be to participate to something really fascinating. It's difficult to describe, actually. Of course, it depends which kind of LARP you're joining, but most of the LARP are pretty engaging. Can be really fun, and you will probably meet a lot of people. And if you open enough to connect to other people, you would probably end up with some friends more, with some good experience more. And yes, that's pretty much.
I wonder if we should ask the people who raised their hand that they experienced the LARP, what it brought to them when they have been in LARP.
That's a good question.
I think that's something I can answer for myself, like my experience. I made a lot of friends. I became part of a community, like an active community, which helped with socializing. It helped me like psychologically in many ways. Like I became very aware of myself and like mindful of others. And their limits. Also, I got like not just a hobby, LARPing, but also like sword fighting and archery and making clothes. Like there are all those things that come up when you start LARPing that you get interested in, like many parts of it, or like the history, like medieval and stuff like that. So it created like it opened my horizons literally, like it created many doors for me. So a lot of things.
Thank you, Daphne, for sharing. It's very nice.
Thank you. Can I also ask, do you know, for the training, do you know if we can bring LARP weapons on the plane? Maybe.
That's an interesting question, but
yes.
Actually, yeah, I think it depends from service to service. I would suggest to you, if you plan
I would call or email.
Before bringing in an halberd to the airport, I would suggest to have a call, and they will for sure tell you.
Because you can have sports equipment on the camping.
I suppose yes.
So,
I suppose yes.
Thank you. I will ask just in case someone travels with LARP shorts.
Yeah.
Okay.
People used to bring a lot of strange things to the airport, so I think it's not much of a problem if you organize a bit.
So I guess it's time to close.
Yes. So I'll pass it down to you.
Yes, before we close it, I have just one last word to the group. As a reminder, this whole project can be happening thanks to the funding of Erasmus+. And one part of Erasmus+ is education and spreading the knowledge. As we are responsible for managing this process, we are also gathering all information on how this learning is being spread. What does it mean? In case that you are implementing anything with LARPs or role-playing, if you're going to hold a session for your friends, if you're going to participate in something, if you're going to create something, we will be very grateful if you are going to share it with us. You can just write a post to the Facebook group, or you can send us email. If you're going to put there also extra picture, we will be really happy. And as I said, we are gathering all of those things and we are reporting it to the Erasmus+ that this is the impact the project is having. So anything you have, throw it on us. And if you are having any questions, you can still put them to the Facebook group, or you can put it to the email and we will be happy to answer.
Yes, thank you, Vojta. That's it. So Ilias, are you closing?
That's all I have to say. I will let you close it.
Okay, so for everyone, thank you so much for being here. Again, if you have any more questions, just post it on Facebook, contact any organization. And I hope that you are participating in September in Rome. It will be very fun and very educational. I hope for everyone that we can meet your expectations. And thank you again to the experts here present for the participation and answering the questions, and to the participants, obviously. And I think that's it from Evro Portugal. I'll be closing the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Ciao.